Hello, anime lovers. Welcome back to our Anime Huddle. And on this episode of Anime Huddle, we are going to be overviewing and analyzing season 2 of Attack on Titan. So, Attack on Titan released approximately 2.5 years after the finale of season 1. Season 1 ended on November 2014, and season 2 came out on April 21st of 2017. And a huge difference between the seasons, between season one and season two, was that season two had only been ordered to have 12 episodes of content. And of course, due to the short amount of episodes and the stretch of time between the release of season 2, anime fans were mad. The fandom was not having it. In fact, I will say that season 2, I think, lost some fans of season 1 of Attack on Titan. Now, when before we actually get in and talk, the nitty-gritty details of season 2, do you think, Joel, preliminarily speaking, that season 2 was a good sequel to season 1 of Attack on Titan?
Oh, it definitely was. I honestly believe season two did a very good understanding on its own. Even though it didn't have the 24 episodes we usually get per season,
Mm-hmm.
it did very good. We had so much story was added to the history of Attack on Titan, and we got big reveals.
Oh, definitely. And we're gonna be talking about that. I feel like season one, I mean, I already talked about this in previous podcasts. It was all about shock value. We saw people die left and right because of the Titans. We saw a small slimmer of hope as the hero, is able to now control this newfound power that he has to transform into a Titan. But we didn't get a lot of lore. I think that's one of the main points that season one was lacking. And thankfully, season two was able to fix that problem because we got so much lore on the Titans, on the world of Attack on Titan, and we also had amazing character moments. Now, this came at the expense of, you know, I guess in the beginning of the season, we had less time with the main character, Eren, and, of course, sadly, fan favorite, Levi, and crew, of course. But other than that, I completely agree with what you said. Season two stood on its own because we paid attention to the side characters that were introduced in season one, and the story didn't give much time to shine to those characters, and therefore the story was able to give great character arcs to all of these characters, which made the story even more impactful when huge reveals were revealed.
Yeah, definitely. And something I will not agree on is with the fandom. Every fandom has and exaggerates some of the points or some of the downfalls of each anime. And they said they
Right.
had to wait 4 years for season two to come out. It only took 2.5 years. People chill. I mean,
Right.
I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, I understand. It took since Attack on Titan is a seasonal anime, it skipped maybe 2 years. I can understand why. I mean, Attack on Titan has such great animation, and the
Yeah.
pacing is crazy good. I mean, it's one of the fastest ones, but it gives you everything you need to know. Not like God of High School.
Oh
R.I.P.
yeah,
God of High
definitely.
School.
Yeah, RIP to that anime. Oh my gosh, huge letdown. But regardless of that, yeah, I think I can agree with that. Even though it did take some time for the anime to actually arrive and for, anime fans to consume said anime, I think that it was worth the wait. It was definitely worth the wait. And I mean, I guess we can start talking, about the themes and how like this season 2 kicks off.
Yeah, so season two, we begin after the intense battle between Eren and Ani inside the walls. And Hanji finds out there's titans inside the wall. I mean, one of the places where Annie tried to crawl away with her hardened nails, she breaks up a part, the part of the wall, and inside there's a titan. Hanji, I mean, she tries to figure out what's going on, and the pastor that clearly knows what's going on, he does not let down. But now that we know that Paradis is planning the rumbling, we know Eren can control titans right now, at least if he has the royal blood.
Right?
I think this is what makes the rumbling extremely powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we know that other countries are now getting better technology. They have aircrafts which they can literally just throw bombs from the sky and can
Or
kill just the regular titans. Oh, yeah, titans as well.
yeah, I mean that's what we saw in season 4. Yeah, I mean, during Willie's speech, that's exactly what they explained. They revealed later on in season 4 that, basically the walls are made up of hardened titans, and the founding titan can control those titans at will. So, those walls can fall, and therefore, they can let a rampage of these gigantic titans. And you know what? It's awesome that on season 2, they planted that seed of doubt of like the world that they lived in, because I mean, I guess when we start off season 1, they explained, they live, all of humanity lives within those walls. But I mean, I guess you kind of just accept it and you never question where did those walls come from, right? Like how long, I mean, if the world was filled with titans, how were they able to quickly form those walls? Those walls seem immense, colossal, if you will.
How long did the Great Wall of China take to build?
That is a good question. I can find out.
Yeah, because I mean, those walls, they don't seem short at all. I mean, first of all, they are huge, as in tall, and they are very, very thick.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to withstand at least 15-meter titans, which is basically Eden's height,
Hmm.
and because that's kind of the average. There, are, of course, the 3, 5, from 3 meters all the way to 15 meters, and of course, we have the colossal titan.
Yeah. I just researched, and apparently it took around 200 years for the Great
200 years.
yeah, for the
Wow.
Great Wall of China to be built. So I mean, just imagine, the Great Wall of China. I mean, I've never been there, so I guess I don't have scale to compare this wall versus the Paradise Island walls. But I mean, if the walls were to be, constructed by hand and not the lore that we know of that they're actually hardened titans, I mean, that would mean that like they built it either at an extraordinary rate or, be realistic, it would have been impossible for them to build it because of all the titans that were plaguing Earth. So I'm really glad that they paid attention to this little this logical point into how the walls came to be. And I mean, of course, it goes even much further, as we learn in season 4. It's part of this like huge thing called the rumbling. But I mean, we're not go into too much detail into that.
So we find out that Titans have breached the wall. And while Eren, Mikasa, and Armin were fighting the female Titan, The rest of the 104th cadets that went ahead and stayed with the scouts, they were held up in a castle because everyone was suspicious. The scouts didn't know who exactly was partnering up with Annie, the female titan. They already had the suspicions, so they're locked up,
Okay.
and they have to go ahead and announce to the other villages nearby that they have to get out. I mean, they have to protect them. That's the reason the scouts are there.
Yeah.
So Mika stays in the castle, and after fighting a bunch of titans, he meets the beast titan. This
Yeah.
big monkey titan can talk.
Yeah, that was very surprising and terrifying at the same time.
Honestly, I think it was one of the scariest scenes in Attack on Titan. I mean, we had
Yeah,
seen. Go ahead, go.
yeah, because I mean, the panel that they used of the Titan just smiling at Mike, and then the fact that he can talk. I mean, I don't think we had met any other Titans that could talk. So, I don't know. I was like terrified of that Titan.
Yeah, it was a combination of being terrified, confusion, just in awe of, first of all, how big the Titan was. It was taller than average, and how he could just control the other Titans.
Right, yeah. I mean, he gave commands, right, to the other Titans to stop or start attacking Mike.
Yeah, and then he just takes his mobility gear. He just starts asking him questions, genuinely interested in how Mike is being able to fly with the 3D maneuver gear.
Yeah, I think that by adding this Titan, you know, in this story, I think it added a lot of mystery to the story because, I mean, even though he was terrifying, and I mean, you could even see it in Mika's face as uh, the Beast Titan removes his mobility gear. And as the Beast Titan kept on asking questions, he was just very confused. At this point, we understand that this is probably a shapeshifter, you know, a human who can transform into titans. But we don't know who it is.
And
This,
I think the fact that Mike was the number two best captain of the scouts
yeah,
and was just decimated by all these titans, we were just scared of how is Levi gonna pull this off, or is he even gonna be able to pull it off? Since we know that in Attack on Titan, anyone can die, no one's safe.
yeah, exactly. I think this season also, I think, amped up the scale of danger that the Titans posed, especially with the addition of the Beast Titan being able to control basically any Titan just by telling them. So, yes, it was crazy. It added a huge overlay of mystery to the story. And I mean, just even think about, I mean, talking back into how Hanji was trying to question the pastor. I mean, it became clear that there were people that knew what was going on and others that didn't.
And it goes back to the question that Erwin asked Eren when they killed Sunny and Bean, Hanji's titans. Who is the real enemy?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, that's why Erwin's quote, it was just ahead of its time. By that time, we didn't know who the real enemy was. We always thought that the Colossal Titan was basically going to be the final boss. But clearly, there were other people that were pulling the strings and being, you know, the actual, I guess, villain of the story. One of my favorite character arcs of season two was probably the Sasha arc. You know, little potato girl. I mean, in season one, she is introduced as this goofy girl who eats potatoes, and when she is confronted with actual combat or actual danger, she was I'm not gonna say the word cowardly because she wasn't a coward, but she was definitely afraid. I think everyone was like in season one during when they first encounter the Titans because everything became all too real. But in this season, she gets a great character arc or character moment when she saves little Kaya. As you mentioned earlier, a few scouts were trying to evacuate the civilians to prevent them from being attacked by the Titans. And, Sasha, knowing a portion of the land, she heads over to her village to try to warn the occupants of the Titans, but she finds that the village is deserted except a mother being eaten by a Titan and her daughter, Kaya. Now, this scene is very relevant down the future, but we're not going to talk about it too much of the implications that it has during season 4. But this scene was very heartbreaking for because of the little girl, because of the mom being basically eaten alive. And we see Sasha basically evolve from Potato Girl to like the awesome Sasha that we know today. Yeah. And speaking of character arcs, I mean, we also get a great character moment for Connie. Would you mind telling us what?
Oh yeah, definitely. So Connie arrives at his village. That is the first place he sprints to, of course, in his horse. But once he gets there, he sees that it has been destroyed by titans, and there is one titan that can't walk and is upside down in Connie's house, and the titan just says, "Welcome home."
That sent chills down my spine.
I think this season raised many more questions than season 1 did.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we get the Beast Titan talking and being able to command other Titans, and then we get this other Titan that can also talk. I mean, do the scouts actually know what the Titans are?
I mean, at this point in season 2, we know that they don't. I think that for the most part, like we mentioned earlier, we always thought that the Titans were the enemy, but they were clearly misinformed.
Yeah, so with the information we now know, we can speculate that the Beast Titan was the one that turned the Eldians or Connie's village into Titans,
Mhm.
because once they in season 4 episode 1, when all the other Eldians are falling off the ship, he just screams and all those Eldians Titan shift.
Yep.
So we can basically speculate, or it's kind of confirmed, that Connie's village was transformed into Titans because of the Beast Titan.
Yeah, and I mean, he even says that that Titan looked like his mom, which is even more tragic.
So we get a bit more exposition. Eren learns actually that he might be able to plug up wall rows by fusing his Titan body into the wall with the Titan hardening. And the pastor reveals to Hanji that Krista is the key to finding all the answers,
Hmm.
which in season 3 we get to see.
We just get a bombshell of information, but that's coming in a future podcast.
So we get the scouts that are still in the castle. Reiner gets suspicious of Ymir because she can read an unknown language on a can of food, which, I mean, I think we were all suspicious of Ymir. And then since this is the first time we're actually seeing of her, we were suspicious of her since the question Erwin did. Who can we actually trust?
Yeah, and you know what? Like, like I said, basically all the side characters had basically level ups. Emir, we get flashbacks of her backstory with her and Krista. We also get some flashbacks of Reiner and Bertolt. This season had all those character interactions that we missed in season one. So, although a lot of people complained that this season was just, half content, half flashbacks, I think the flashbacks were very necessary for the emotional impact we felt during key scenes. Like you mentioned, the build up towards Emir's reveal that she is the Jaw Titan was very impactful because of the relationship that grew between Ymir and Historia, or in this case, is Krista?
Yeah, Krista. As
Yeah.
so far in season 2, that's how we know her.
Yeah, so the relationship between Ymir and Krista, we were able to see it only through flashbacks. And, we understood that they grew very, very close. And And then when we get that emotional gut punch of Ymir transforming to try to save them, I mean, that was just amazing. Like, it was very, very well executed.
Ooh, one of the scenes that I thought was just crazy was when they were trying to barricade inside the castle or tower, whatever it was. But a titan bites Reiner's arm, and he just carried
Yeah.
that titan all the way to a wall and just yeets him out of the window.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was just amazing, Reiner.
My respect for Reiner just exponentially grew at that moment. At that moment.
At that moment. Yeah. And all of those side soldiers, I guess, that were unfortunately killed because of the all the titans that surrounded the castle, just RIP to them. They tried their best and they had pretty good character moments, but this was all about the main cast, or I guess the main side cast. During this season, it is revealed that Krista is an unwanted daughter of a nobleman's mistress, and she was forced to join the military and change her name. Now, we don't know exactly why. This is later revealed in season 3, but it just makes her story a little bit more tragic. And this season just reiterated over and over again that there are more people who can titan shift. So we can literally trust no one. We don't know who can titan shift and who can. Or at least at this point, we just know of Ymir, apparently the Beast Titan, and of course, Eren.
Yeah, in this scene where Ymir jumps off the tower and she titan shifts. In the anime, we see that Berthold was about to titan shift as well.
Well, I mean, at this point during the story, we did not know that. But now that we do, yeah, like it was clearly obvious that Bertold was literally about to titan shift.
And this was actually an only anime scene. I checked in the manga, and this was not it. So they were teasing that Berthold was a Titan. But imagine if
Wow.
Berthold actually Titan shifted. He would have just killed everyone.
Oh, definitely. Well, except, I guess spoiler alert, question mark, Reiner. Um,
And Ymir.
and Emir
Yeah, so
as well.
all the other scouts would have died except those three.
But you know what? I'm glad he didn't because, I mean, if we want to talk about the greatest traitor reveal ever in anime history, it has got to be the Reiner and Bertolt reveal. That was a gut punch.
The anime executed it so well. They took their time. They put silent music. The background just changed. It was more lighting, there were shadows. You could see everything. It was a beautiful scenery.
That's like the cinematic content that I'm all for. I mean, the way that the animators just took their time, I guess more the directors, to build the tension. I mean, we already knew this was coming. And and during the episode, they literally just so casually, nonchalantly say, I am the Colossal, I am the Armored Titan, and you need to come with us, Eren. Like, they just said it that way. And regardless of that, when they, start being surrounded by all that yellow energy, I guess that lightning, every time that I hear that soundtrack, it just brings chills to my arm. It's very well executed, and it's gonna go down for me as the greatest trailer reveal in anime history.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in YouTube, it has like 12 million views, and IMDb gave that episode a rating of 9.8. I
Yeah.
mean, it was awesome.
And honestly, it deserves even more. That should have been a 10.
I definitely agree. And Reiner says that if Eren goes with them, they can make it so that Paradise Island doesn't get destroyed. But do you think that would have actually changed anything if Eren would have gone with them?
I don't think so. I mean, based on the knowledge that we know of today, I wholeheartedly believe that if Eren had gone with them, they would have just passed the founding titan to someone of royal blood and basically eradicated Paradise Island.
Yeah, and then Marley would have just become the powerhouse of Titans since they had the power of the rumbling. That's the only thing that Paradise has against everyone.
Yeah. In fact, I would even go ahead and say that if Eren had gone over there, I think that Marty would have become like I guess the world empire, and they would have only caused pain and suffering for all of the world.
I agree with that.
So back to that traitor reveal. Reiner grabs hold of Eren as soon as he transformed. I believe that they also grab Ymir because she is the Jaw Titan, but she's passed out. And Eren is just contemplating all the memories that he had with Reiner and Bertolt, all the time that they spent while they were training to become scouts. And he can't just help but to start crying a little, but also let the rage boil as he transforms and he says, You traitors. Amazing way to end an episode.
Yeah, imagine watching that weekly.
The anxiety that I would have for the next episode would just skyrocket through the roof.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the fight between Eren and Reiner, I thought was very well done.
Definitely, there was a lot of good choreography. Some sort of, I guess, hand-to-hand combat that we saw there. It wasn't just like Titans just punching each other. It was very well executed. However, in the end, we do know that Eren does lose the fight because of what the Colossal Titan does. It seemed like he only half transformed, right? I think like his ribs were like attached to the wall,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and then as Reiner and Eren get close to the wall, like literally right directly above or below the Colossal Titan, he just breaks his ribs and just goes down to chomp up Eren, and he does, and that's how Eren he gets eaten for the third time in the story.
Third time.
Third time's the charm, though.
Yeah, so the Reiner walks away, well, runs away with Berthold, Ymir, and Eren. And Eren and Ymir, they wake up in the middle of the forest where they try to capture the female Titan. I mean, Reiner and Berthold, they plan to take Eren over there to their hometown and Ymir as well. And this is when we get the PTSD, or the two personalities that Reiner has.
The reason, if we go back and think about, the Reiner and Bertolt reveal, on the reason why he actually did it was because of the, I guess, trigger word that Aaron used, which was the word hometown. And as soon as he said it, Reiner changed into his warrior persona. And I mean, that's the sole reason why he reveals himself to the scouts, even though the scouts technically already had their suspicions that they weren't who they say they were.
Yeah, and it's sad because Reiner and Berthold, they actually, well, at least Reiner, he actually thought of them, of the 104th cadets, as friends. But this warrior in him, he built this persona so that he could basically live with the actions he had done. I mean, Berthold actually says, "Do you actually think we enjoy what we do?"
Yeah, and I think that all of this starts to make a lot more sense when we shift into their perspectives in season 4. Um, we see their backstories and realize that they're only doing this because of the propaganda that Marley had fed them. It's not like they enjoy doing it, but they do think of it as a means to an end. In fact, later on, when they have both Emir and Eren kidnapped, they start explaining what happened to Marco. In season 1, he was one of the soldiers who ultimately died during the Battle of Thrust. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's very interesting, how it was Reiner and Bertolt who were speaking, if I'm not mistaken, and Marco was overhearing. And as Reiner held Marco, Annie removed his ODM gear and left him there for a Titan to eat him. And you could see in Annie's face that she did not want to do what they were doing at that moment. But of course, Reiner thought that this was a means to an end. They could not be found out this early while they were trying to get more information about who the founding titan was. And it's very weird to see because there's a moment where Reiner says, why is Marco being eaten, with a tear in his eyes? And I guess we understand that that's ultimately his double persona that switched to the compassionate Reiner that we learned that he is. So it's just insane to think about, like the repercussions of the propaganda that he was. It's not like we hate Reiner as a character. We just hate the actions that he did.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ooh, and when they say they want to take them back to their hometown, where did you think at first their hometown was? I honestly thought they would just keep on walking a bit more, but since I thought they would just walk a bit more further from the forest and they would find their place.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, the anime nor hadn't revealed it yet, like what the hometown was. But yeah, I honestly thought it was somewhere within the walls. I never expected that there was like a hometown outside the walls.
So Ymir, at that moment when they're in the forest, she's convinced to side with Reiner and Berthold if and only if they can guarantee Krista's safety. So they team up, and as soon as they team up, the scouts are right behind them.
Yeah, and they're being led by Erwin, who had the most amazing scene ever. in this in this battle.
Honestly, it was so inspiring. Just what the heck? This anime just knows how to create great moments. I mean, after Ymir eats Krista,
Well, quote unquote.
yeah, quote unquote, she just puts her in her mouth. Yeah, so Ymir returns to Reiner, who has already shifted into his armored titan, and they just ride off into the sunset. But the scouts are right behind them.
Hmm.
Since the armored titan, I mean, it's in the name armored, he has too much armor. He isn't as fast as he would be without his armor. Even to protect him, it slows him down. So the scouts are slowly gaining on them.
Right.
But in front of them, Erwin had already led a group around the armored titan, and behind them and in front of the armored titan, they have other titans that are just gonna converge and basically just sandwich him.
Yeah, it was just a huge horde of titans. I mean, like I said, Erwin is amazing and extremely smart, a very good military strategist. And as he leads all these titans to them, at some point one of the titans is able to yank one of his arms. And as everybody is surprised by and shocked at this, that Erwin is basically has his arm being chewed on, he just goes attack forward, just like, don't look at me, don't worry about me, concentrate on getting Aaron back.
Yeah, and that's what made him a great, I guess, general, because he commanded all of the scouts. Armin said,
And a very lovable character at that.
yeah, definitely. And because Armin said, you can't hope to change anything if you're not willing to throw anything away. And in this case, we see how Erwin is willing to throw away his arm and even his life, because once a Titan gets you, it's kind of a given that you're going to die.
Yeah, exactly. At least that's what we've seen so far.
Yeah, and Erwin in this case, he just got his arm chopped off.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, thinking about the environment, like the how the scene was set. I mean, we have all these scouts, trying to get back Aaron, and we see that Erwin, was trying. He got a horde of titans to come and like aid them to, I guess, form some sort of a distraction for the armored titan, Reiner, Bertolt, Ymir. But we saw character growth at this moment. We saw people that were no longer 100% paralyzed at the sight of titans. Like, for example, I mean, we've already known that Mikasa is just a badass, she's just going and just like slashing titans left and right. And I mean, I guess she goes first towards Reiner to try and get Eren back, and she has that scary stare to Bertolt. She gave that stare. But we also get like an amazing scene with Armin. He starts talking scary because remember, we have the scouts have Annie, in her crystallized form.
Which Berthold is in love with.
Yeah, it was revealed that Bertolt was in love with. So Armin, trying to get inside Bertolt's mind, he starts telling him that they are torturing Annie at the moment. And I mean, this breaks Bertolt down a bit. And we see Armin just knowing how to use little mind tricks to try to get a leg up against their opponent.
Yeah, and as soon as he jumps out of Reiner's arms to cut down Armin, Mikasa slashes him, and they get to retrieve Eren. But because since there's so many titans around them, they get slapped around, but they are still able to run away with the horses.
Right.
Now, even though we think, oh, right, they saved Eren, just run away, the armored titans start yeeting titans at the scouts, especially at Eren and Mikasa. He just starts throwing them everywhere. I mean, the Armor Titan is extremely strong.
Yeah.
And one of those Titans lands on top of Eren and Mikasa's horse, so they're thrown off.
Yeah, and I think at that point Mikasa gets a little bit hurt.
Yeah, she gets hurt, and then we get the Titan that ate Eren's mom starting to walk towards them.
Oh my god, my gut wrenched as soon as I saw that Titan. I mean, to first to start off, that smile was very creepy to begin with.
In the beginning and still today.
Yeah, and then the fact that they're coming face to face with that Titan was insane.
So as soon as that Titan is about to grab them, I mean, we think it's just everything rewinding. You know, now Eren's gonna be the one that gets eaten. Hannes comes
Yes,
and he protects them, dude.
I was hyped at that moment. I thought
Yes.
that this was a redemption arc for Hans. You know, he couldn't do it the first time, but we were damn well sure that he was gonna do it this time around.
Yeah, and we know exactly what this means for both Mr. Hannes. I mean, he was devastated when he saw that Titan. He just grabbed Eren and Mikasa in the first episode and ran away. He could redeem himself now. And now, Eren said the only reason why he joined the Scouts was because he wanted to get stronger. And now he has a Titan. So now he can redeem himself. He can destroy that Titan that killed his mom. So he bites and bites himself again and again. And he can't turn.
Yeah,
That was one of the most intense moments ever. He just keeps on biting himself. And we see Mr. Hannes, he's struggling out there. I mean, he's never fought Titans before, actually hand to hand, close combat. So inevitably, he gets caught
yeah.
and gets eaten.
While both Mikasa and Eren are watching. That was insanely sad.
And before we go to what happens next, in season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Yes, we know. I got you. In season 1, episode 1, when Eren is about to wake up from his dream or from his sleep, there are two scenes that happen. There are some blue flowers, and they get tainted with blood.
Yeah.
And we also see the smile of the Titan that eats Eren's mom. In season 2, episode 12, we see that exact scene.
Yeah, it was almost as if they just copy pasted that exact same scene.
Yes, if you haven't seen it, we definitely encourage you. Go ahead and watch it. If you have Hulu, Crunchyroll, you can watch it on YouTube as well.
Yeah, to watch the beginning of season 1, the first episode ever, when Eren wakes up from his dream, and then go back and see the moment that Hannes dies.
This basically confirms the time loop theory.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So for me, like for a moment there, I was like, yes, time loop theory confirmed. But I mean, at the same time, this could also just mean that a future version of Eren or a future version of the Attack Titan is sending back memories of future Eren to the past, if that makes any sense. So I don't know. Although this is very substantial evidence of it, I still have a little bit of doubt. Yeah. So after seeing that gut-wrenching scene of Hans being killed off, being eaten by this Titan, Eren breaks down. Eren breaks down hard. He's frustrated that he can't save the people that he loves.
On second watch, well, actually, in technicality, I've watched all of Attack on Titan 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I dropped it when Eren got eaten. the second time I actually followed through and finished it all up to season 3. But that was, I think, like 2 years ago that I finished it for the first time. So when season 4 was gonna go ahead and start, before it premiered, I rewatched it all because honestly, I had forgotten everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for these podcasts, I mean, I have to be informed, you guys. So I mostly reread the chapters of Attack on Titan. I can go through them a lot faster to write down what we're gonna talk about. But I decided to watch the last episode for season 2, and I cried, and not tearing up. I
Wow.
cried when Eren was breaking down. I mean, I think one these sentimental moments, when you watch them, I think binge. Sometimes you have to see these moments just
Yeah.
individually, and once you go things through life, I mean, they
Yeah.
hit you different at different points in your life. But something that I hate about myself is that I can't cry, because if I start actually crying, my eyelashes go into my eyes, so I'm disturbed from crying. I don't know. It's just something weird about me, guys. But I can't cry. I'll cry for like 3 seconds, and then my eyelashes would just get into my eyes. So I can't genuinely cry. But I cried, you guys. This scene really hit me at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it was very, very heartbreaking. I'm not gonna say necessarily that I cried in this scene, but I teared up. And of course, as Eren is breaking down, crying, Mikasa is there to comfort him, and that gives Eren, I guess, a newfound determination to protect Mikasa at all costs. And with a newfound power that apparently Eren possessed all this time, he basically commands the other Titans to start attacking that smiling Titan, the Titan that killed Eren's mom. And it was one of the hypest things I saw in this finale. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
and he does it twice. I mean, the first time he does it, there's this lightning or this flash, and Reiner, Berthold, and Ymir, they're basically alerted of it. Since he can command Titans, they're alerted of it. And then when Eren and Mikasa are running away, Reiner is about to charge towards them, and he just says, "Get away from me! Don't you dare come!" And the flash again comes to Reiner, Berthold, and Ymir, but everyone starts attacking Reiner and Berthold.
Wow. It was truly spectacular.
So the situation looks hopeless for Reiner and Berthold. It seems as that's their end. So everyone retreats. I mean, they have taken heavy losses. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, Erwin lost his arm. So a week later, Hanji comes in to report to Erwin, Pixies, and Levi that the Titans within the walls appear to be citizens of Connie's village. So it's kind of confirmed
Yeah.
that all of Connie's village were turned into Titans. I mean, that honestly is heartbreaking. You're fighting, you're dedicating your life to killing off these Titans to
Right.
protect
Yeah.
humankind inside the walls, and your mom turns into one of them.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. Yeah. It's kind of like that dilemma that you talk about. Like, if there was a zombie apocalypse and your family turned into zombies, would you kill them? It's a very controversial dilemma, especially in this case for Connie. And I mean, I would say everyone, because now, they are slowly starting to realize that Titans first were humans. It's not like, you know, just Titans, I guess, have Titan babies. No, it's none of that. They are somehow being turned into Titans.
Yeah, so all Titans are humans. And Levi, I mean, he's kind of in shock. He's fought Titans all this time. He's built
Yeah.
his hate around them, he actually says. And to reveal that they are humans, it honestly it shakes him. So with this, season 2 ends. But at the end, we see the Beast Titan sitting on top of Wall Maria,
Hmm.
and an unknown man, he comes out of his nape. And that dude, he's got glasses and he's got abs.
Yeah.
Those are crazy combinations.
Yeah, definitely.
Deadly combinations, if I might say. And with this, we have finished going over all of Attack on Titan Season 2. If you like this episode, don't forget to follow us on social media. Link is in the description. And like, share, subscribe. And if you are so kind, leave a review down in the comments. That was it for Anime Huddle. See you next time.